Good evening, all, and welcome to IDC Alumni Talk number 47. Today we have with us Aditya Sambhare, who passed out from IDC in 2000 uh, from PD. Today's talk is a very exciting one in the sense that Aditya, though he is an architect and a designer, but he is more known as a watchmaker, and he takes a lot of pride in pursuing what he calls as a passion. And interestingly, the way he looks at the following up a passion is a very difficult thing because there is always two sides to our lives. There is a passion that we want to pursue, and there is a profession that we need to do for several reasons. And this is probably a question that all of us have. But Aditya has found his own way to deal with it. But beyond the story of watchmaking, I think he also brings a, a deep passion, a deep personal, what do you say, the craft, the mastery that he has built to do something as exquisite as what he is going to show us. Very interestingly, there is the aspect of his work where he has to synchronize the two arms that make the clock tick is probably what is where he's also finding an inspiration on how to synchronize the two arms of passion and profession. So with that, I hand over the session to Aditya Sambhare. It's all yours, Aditya. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Ravi. And you put a lot of pressure on me with all those nice words. Uh, I'm very happy to be here today. To be honest, I always feel a little bit of an outsider because I'm not doing pure design and the rest of you are. So that's why I'm all the more thankful for this opportunity. Uh, I think the general tendency, even mine, is to wash and scrub one story, dip it in meal, starch it, iron it, and then present it. Here's my lovely, fresh, crisp story. I'm not going to do that for the simple reason that I don't know how. I wish I did. So I'll just share with you what I have done over the last 22 years since I finished IDC, and then we'll see. Uh, for about 9 or 10 years, I worked as a product designer. I worked with BPL, if anyone remembers BPL, with Philips and with Tata Auto Components. I worked on various product categories, and it was nice, fulfilling work. But I'll tell you what I do now. I'm a watchmaker, which means that I repair old clocks and watches, and I also make watches. I design and handcraft skeleton watches. So just so that you know exactly what I do, I'll briefly run through two repair projects. Okay, won't take too much time. So here you have an old Seiko wristwatch. It's probably from the late 50s or early 1960s. And I work only on mechanical timepieces, right? So this is what the movement in the watch looks like. And like any machine, this needs care, service, repair. Apart from the machine, the case also needs attention. It needs to be dust-proof, waterproof. Now, I can easily see that this particular part is broken. And when you have a broken part, the standard procedure is to buy a spare and put it back in. But sometimes spares are not available, they run out. So then you have no option but to make a spare. You can see I'm tracing the old part on a piece of steel. And then I've replicated it, countersunk, heat treated. So that's repairs. But why service? Service because, these little black specks, they were once oil. And they've thickened, combined with dust. And what was once a lubricant is now an abrasive. So you need to strip the watch, clean it thoroughly, remove all traces of old oil, put fresh oil. Sometimes there's wear and tear, so I've bushed this bearing to make this wheel upright. With all this done, you clean everything thoroughly and you put it back together and you tune it for timekeeping. So that's a watch. Okay, let's see what the repair of a clock looks like. Of course, there's the mechanism, which is the heart of the clock, but there's a lot of woodwork as well. And clock work also involves carpentry. We'll come to that later. You will notice that, this looks empty. There's something missing over here. So I'll come to that a little later. These things are used for a few decades, then they stop working properly. They are put away in lofts, and you can see another few decades of dust stuck to the old foil. And here you see the sort of wear a clock goes through. This pivot has worn the metal and made the hole over. Now the traditional way of repairing is to punch and push the metal back. But that just wears out because it's thin. It wears out the pivot. So the right way is to polish the pivot, put fresh metal, again clean, and this part is done. But what about the case? You need to replicate the case, the missing bits, and not always can you find good pictorial references of what this particular clock looked like. So then you look at the style of this brand, Junghans, and you absorb that and you come up with something that is sympathetic to both, their style at that time and this case. Cleaning, profiles, some of the cornice was missing, so make it. And then the finials were broken and missing. So now we are going to turn some wood. You mark the centers. You put some metal ends because the centers will wear out and the turning will be inaccurate. And then after a few hours, you have this. We put the missing bit on the top finial, and this is the bottom. Test fit. This door was all warped because of moisture. So I moistened the wood, clamped it down, and brought it back to shape. Finally, you end up with this. It's not exactly how it left the factory, but it's a close approximation of how it would have been. So then why do I do it? I've thought about this long and hard, and there's no great answer to this. But I've always liked doing things with my hands, make things, crafts in school, uh, open stuff, break it. And my other passion, which predates timepieces, is vintage cars. So my dad would bring me these plastic kits and you break these parts from the tree, finish them, paint them, and then you got something that looks just like the real car. And it's great fun because you look for pictures of the real car, look at details, try to replicate them. But you must know that this is a static piece. It's like a piece of sculpture. And I still do it on weekends, when there's some time, I still do it. It's very satisfying. So with all that history of, getting my hands dirty and doing things myself, uh, I think timepieces were a natural progression because not only is this a lovely object, but it's a machine with a job. So the challenge is that much higher. It's like an addict needs a stronger and stronger drug, right? So this is a machine. You need to fix the machine. Thankfully, this is as strong a drug as I've needed. Clocks and these watches, because the next is tower clocks, like Lal Deval here in Pune. That's a very big challenge. So I've spoken at the Jubilee, I've spoken at PDF, and I show the same thing over and over again. I thought this time I'll talk about how I did it. Uh, it began as a hobby, it began as a passion. It, I would just, uh, do stuff in my free time. There have been times when I've woken up at 2 in the morning, fiddled with watches, and then gone to work and come back. But this was a good opportunity to for me to also think how I've done this thing. When I got interested, I just went online and started looking for information. And it's amazing how much information is available. You know, there's a lot of rubbish on the internet, but a lot of excellent stuff as well. For example, this is a set of articles which were first published in 1918, I think. And I found them, downloaded them, and I downloaded lots of similar stuff. I joined many special interest forums, hobbyists, watchmakers, made friends over there. This this little pamphlet on turning, someone in the UK sent me. It's a very old article on if you got a set of turns, turns are hand operated lathes. How you can use the turns to make accessories for itself. So then, of course, you get your hands dirty. You buy some broken junk watches, you buy some rudimentary tools, and then you try to do what you read. And there's a lot of frustration in this stage, just trying to undo this screw, your screwdriver will slip, will scratch this plate, it'll probably break apart somewhere. If you're trying to lift this bridge off, you will break the pivot. At this stage, it's just a motor abilities issue. You're just trying to uh, become more dexterous and be able to do this. So when you are able to dismantle and assemble a watch without breaking anything, you feel a sense of satisfaction. On the side, you continue your education. It's not just tinkering and being able to dismantle, being able to assemble. You go deep into how the thing works. You go into the mechanics and the physics behind uh, timepieces. And this is a very important stage because I think if you know how a certain thing works, then you can fix it. Then you can, get it to work. As you do more and more, you realize that you need specialized tools because watches are tiny mechanisms and you need specialized tools sometimes to open it, to examine it, to repair it. So you start acquiring these. Dhire dhire you buy. If you go to buy them brand new, now it is such a small market and so exclusive that you need a few crores to uh, get a good set. So then you go vintage. And when you go vintage, a lot of the tools need restoration. So that's again another journey. By the way, all of this is not a linear process, It's all happening together because you just can't wait to do something. You can't say, I'll read for 3 months and then I'll do something. Now, one thing I found very useful was to, in the early days, to maintain a diary. Because you don't have a mentor, you don't have any supervision, you're teaching yourself. And there is a risk that you will just go around in circles, chase your own tail, make the same mistakes and get frustrated. So it helps to write things down. I was looking at my old diary and on the 13th of May 2010, I decided to make this part a winding shaft for the first time ever. And then it's a story of 4 or 5 failures. And on the 9th of June, I have written, today I made the second proper shaft successfully. And so I shall write down how I did it. So this was a very useful thing. Then comes a day when you have sufficient knowledge, sufficient capability, and you are able to diagnose the problems in the watch. You are able to fix them, and then the watch works. So this is a culmination of all that I have said. And this is an extremely satisfying. And you do this over and over again. You do it with your timepieces because you don't want to fool around with someone else's work. And then you reach a point where you feel that I can offer this as a service and charge for it. You start doing that. You start preparing for, professionally. Another, you know, benefit of doing this for someone like me is you get to see a big slice of timekeeping history. And history is another one of my passions, not just timekeeping, but general history. So on each of these watches, I have written down uh, points of technical interest that I found, you know, and if you do this long enough and you have enough data in your head, you can weave a nice story around this. You can relate it to things that are happening in the outside world. So, okay, I am a designer after all. I did go to IDC for 2 years. And as much as I love, restoring, keeping the past alive, I also want to create. And because I like mechanisms and the insides, I make skeleton watches. And these are some of my designs. Uh, so skeleton watch is one in which the whole mechanism is laid bare. And I make these for particular reasons, because I think they should look a certain way. I think they should be all about the machine. Everything done should celebrate this wonderful ballet of springs, gears, levers, and wheels. Each one has had a small germ of an idea, nothing big and magnificent, but just a small idea which I have articulated. And here's a little look at how I make one of these watches. So let's look at the hands. They begin as two strips of steel. Now, this is carbon steel, and in the watch trade, it's called silver steel. I don't know the exact composition. Why this is imported? Because not because it's functionally better. You get functionally good steel here as well, but it has very good bluing characteristics. So you shape, this is in the annealed state, then you harden and temper, do the finishing, and then when you hold it in a flame carefully, the whole thing takes on a lovely blue color. It's oxidation and it protects. I don't make the mechanisms, the wheels, gears, because that will need huge investments and lots of practice. This is what the parts of the movement look like when I get it. And then I start hacking at it. I cut it open, I remove material. When the shapes are finalized, I finish the parts. This huge chunk of brass is going to become the dial, and you can see the operations that it goes through till it becomes a dial. This is a test fit, and then you end up with something like this. So yes, so there was all of this. You have you've taught yourself something. You're quite good at it. You are offering it as a service, but still it wasn't gaining traction. And at some point, I realized that I'm not committing enough. I was always diffident. I said I have no qualification in this. I don't have a degree. How can I do this? How can I do that? Then one day I thought that I have 5 years of architectural education. That's technical education. I have spent 2 years at IDC, 2 intensive years. You know, Sometimes when I think about it, I think the only word to describe what we went through is abuse. We went through 2 years of abuse at the hands of those professors. And I'm just so thankful for it, Because a lot of my thinking today, I think, was shaped by those 2 years. All that, constant pushing. Don't just do. Tell me why you're doing it. Tell me your reasons. Tell me your logic. So, so I have all this education. Surely I'm qualified enough to teach myself this skill methodically and properly, and then to call myself a watchmaker. So then one fine day I went to LinkedIn and changed my title to Watchmaker at A D Sambhare on Facebook and everywhere. And I printed some visiting cards. And I would say, yes, I am a watchmaker. I repair, I do this and I do that. And I could see that it's paying off because, uh, well, if you don't respect yourself and if you don't have confidence in yourself, why will anyone else? So that was another obstacle. It's when you want to earn out of something, there's multiple skills you need to know, multiple states of mind you need to be in. Then, yes, so now we come to another uh, personality trait. Uh, you have taught yourself something, you're reasonably good at it, you're fully committed to it, you want to make a go of it. Now it's sink or swim. You're not even looking at other stuff, but you need to get the word out. And uh, inherently, I'm a very private person. I'm one of those who just keeps doing, and the rest will take care of itself. I'm sitting here talking to 32 people today, and I'll tell you that it's been an uphill task for me. I never thought that I would be so comfortable with something like this. The point being, if you inherently don't have the flair for talking about your work, how do you get the word out? Uh, the other problem is that uh, I work in such a specific area. When I talk to a large room full of people, I always ask, how many of you wear watches? And barely half of them raise their hands. And then I ask, how many of you are wearing a mechanical watch? Uh, Hardly anyone, which goes to show what a niche audience I need to target. And those of you who have had business educations can tell me how many crores you have to spend to reach, those sort of people. But this is where social media has really helped me. Okay. I have a Facebook page for A D Sambhare Watches, and my Instagram handle is exclusively for my watch work. And there, in my own quiet, boring way, I can post my stuff. This watch came and these were the problems with it. This is how I solved them. And now this is what it looks like. Or today I saw a very interesting mechanism. Here it is. Or today I learned to perform a rather difficult task. And here's how I did it. And so I can do it the way I do it, and people notice it. People notice it. That's the beauty of social media and hashtags and stuff like that. So ever since it's been 5 or 6 years since I made my Insta page only for watch, it's really paid off. I get a lot of repair work from Instagram, and I get the odd order as well from Instagram. So that's certain validation. Somebody trusts you with, they've never met you, they've just seen what you do on Instagram, and they'll say, okay, I'll give you 1.5 lakhs for this watch. Uh, and last year, another little validation. There's this outfit in Pune who they are into filmmaking. Uh, they make corporate films and whatever for bread and butter, but on the side they make documentaries on interesting things that happen in Pune. So they saw my Insta page and messaged me on Instagram that we would like to make a film on you. So then I had a look at their other work. I said, yes, that's good. So what do you expect of me? They said 2 days of your time. So they approached me in April, and in October, over 2 or 3 days, they shot the film, and then it's taken them all these months of their free time to edit the thing, and it was released on Sunday on the 24th. Uh, and for me, the takeaway is that my Instagram page has substance, and even though it's not big numbers, it's not many followers, nothing, uh, people are noticing it, and they're willing to invest so much of their time on this, and they're willing to give me work. So that's about how uh, I got into the watch thing and how I've sort of made it work. Uh, some other things also I do. My cousin has been in food distribution, imported food distribution for 20 odd years. And in 2018, till then, he used to have this chain of small format stores, 400 square feet, 500 square feet, where he sold these imported foods. He came to me and said, Aditya, I have rented 4,500 square feet of space, and I want you to design a nice medium format store for me. So I told him, look, I haven't even built a toilet in my life. He said, doesn't matter, I know you can do it. So again, I was in a bit of a fix. I'd never done anything. I'd just, done the interior of my house, my dad's house, and aunt's house, and whatever. But then I spent a few weeks in researching, retail design. All I could read on that, premium food retail. All I could read on that, supermarkets, and a lot of that stuff was coming out of the West. So I had to be a little careful, read all this, absorb all this, how much of it applies to our context, to our culture, modify it. And I came up with a strategy, some 5, 6 points, and I applied them. And I told my cousin, you want to sink a crore and a half on my stupid ideas, that's your funeral. But I did it and it worked. I had asked them, what's daily sales do you expect? And they had said X. Within a month, the shop was doing like 3x or 4x. And in the lockdown, they were doing 20x. And now it's stabilized at around 10x. So that's again another validation, that, okay, we're doing right. And this is a live process. I've done few more shops for him. We keep learning out of them. But the good thing about this is I can to choose what interiors I want to do. Because I have the safety of the watch business, I can pick and choose. I don't have to just peddle my stuff and say, हाँ sir, आपको जैसा interior चाहिए हम बना देंगे sir. None of that. So that's that. Watch work I would say is around 70 to 80% of my work, and this is about 20%. So that's half an hour. There's my whole sordid story. You may make of it what you will. And I think now we come to the most dreaded part of the session. Questions and answers. Over to you, Ravi. Thank you.
Great. Time clock, it's what they call as clockwork. Great, Aditya. Thanks for giving a peek into your journey. And let me open this forum for questions. Those of you who have questions, please push the hand button so that I will know who is in the queue. Yeah, Sunil, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Hi Aditya, thank you very much for your sharing your journey.
You're welcome.
So coincidentally, for past few years, I started collecting HMT watches.
Okay.
For God knows what, for what reason, but I just started over there. So also designed a couple of watches for Fossil brand,
Okay.
other watch faces. So that's how I got into it. Now, also as I mean, this is just a coincidence that I'm hearing you. So also started watching Japanese watchmakers on YouTube.
Right.
That's something which I kind of enjoyed watching those things. So
Right.
I never knew that it could be taken up as a hobby without what you call technical background or some kind of craftsmanship that you need to go through. So this is quite heartening to know that one of us among us is taken up that as a profession. So what I would like to know is for to start with, where do we begin? And that is the first question. How do we begin with it? Second is when you do that skeleton watches, do you get those basic stuff from places, or you start everything from scratch?
No, like I said, I buy the mechanism and then I skeletonize it because it's a very, very high precision instrument.
Yeah, yeah.
The tooth profiles of the pinions, of the wheels, they have to be uh, absolutely spot on.
Okay.
Simply because there's a thin strip of steel, a spring which is powering the whole thing, and you have very limited power available.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, you don't want any friction. So you want precise tooth profiles. You want precise tolerances between the pivot and the jewel or the bearing.
Mm-hmm.
So making a mechanism from scratch is an altogether different story. So I mean, if I get 2 or 3 crores and somebody says ki for 1 year you don't worry about anything, then
Yeah.
I'll sit in my room and practice and learn and then maybe make a mechanism.
Okay, okay. So these are ready-made kits, is it? Or how do we get it? If we have to start somewhere?
Kits of what?
I mean, the basic stuff before which you carve out the skeletons, right? With your size and
So
shape.
you get a mechanism. Okay, the mechanism you get that
Okay.
you skeletonize. Then you make maybe you make some parts for the mechanism because
Got it.
you're making a design. Maybe some part you throw, some part you make. You make the support structure. You make the hands. So you make the dial markers, hour markers. So
Mm.
it's like I mean you make a design, right? And then you do what is required to, uh,
Yes. Got it. Okay.
right.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
And is there, sorry, is there a place to buy them from if I have to start somewhere?
Uh, your HMTs are a good starting point. Open one
Okay.
of them. You know,
Yeah.
when you're learning, cheap is best. Sacrifice one of your HMTs.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है.
Great. Thanks, Sunil. Aditya, there is one of your customer who has a question. Aro.
Okay.
Hey
And
Aditya, thanks for
do I,
your
do I have to call you sir because you're my customer?
yes, sir, because I've been very polite with you so far. So, let's be kind with each other. So I want to know the story behind this watch that I very proudly own, and this is a beautiful watch. And every time I wear this, I feel I don't know. It's a very different feeling. It's custom made, and it's so elegant, so beautiful. It fits so well on my wrist. What's the story behind it?
So you have my number 5 skeleton
Mhm.
wristwatch. And like I said, there's never any great philosophical grounding to any of these. Okay, when I uh, felt like making that design, I said I have to make the most extreme skeleton that I can. Okay, so I chose a smaller mechanism and a slightly larger case so that you have a lot of space around it. And then I didn't want it sitting on the dial ring all around. So I said that it'll be like a peninsula, it'll be supported by the ring at one point and then it'll go out. So that was the idea. एक तरफ से support होगा, बाकी सब floating होगा. And then within a theme, within a circular theme design, how can you remove as much material as possible? So that's the simple idea of this particular design. You are on mute, Oro.
Sorry, I was just trying to show if anybody's interested what you meant by this circular. What do you call it? Circular? Sorry,
Peninsula. It's a peninsula concept.
peninsula.
Where the crown is, the mechanism is supported there, and then it's sort of cantilevered into.
Now I got it. Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Aro. Advankar sir has a question. Sir, please go ahead. Sir,
You're on mute.
Horo seems to be a salesman for Aditya. Aditya, I'm very happy.
He's my best friend. What can I do, sir?
Aditya, I'm very happy to see your work. You're so passionate about it. All I just have one comment on it. Why are you so modest after doing such great work?
There's a lot more to be done, sir. There's so much I don't know. There's so much that I still want to do. So I'm happy that I've reached here, and happy that I can do this. But there's always so many things, so many techniques, so many materials you want to try. And I'm happy that you're glad with my work, sir. मुझे लगा था आप झापड़ मारोगे कि तेरे को साले को 2 साल डिजाइन सिखाया, अब ये क्या कर रहा है तू? So it's hard to know that you appreciate my work.
मैं भी किधर डिजाइन कर रहा हूँ.
But like I said, sir, there's so much more that one can do. And I'm happy.
It's a good attitude. To be modest and doing great work is great. Keep it up.
I will always remember this. Attu sir said I'm doing great work.
Too many people come and tell me Attu said this, and I have forgotten that I have said
it. No, but this session is being recorded.
Okay.
Right.
Great. As we wait, I have a question, Aditya. You focus on mechanical watches, you said. What is the is there a world that is moving far away from mechanical watches, or still there is a significant use of mechanical watches? And also, what do you think about the emerging trends of all these Apple watches and all that? Are we seeing a decline of this trend, or you still see that it is still healthy and there's always a population that is looking for this? What's your take on this?
Okay, so to be honest, the mechanical watch died in the 1970s and early 80s. Okay, that's when quartz technology came up. It had been there for some time, but it was miniaturized enough to be put in the wristwatch. And from all functional points of view, the quartz watch is far superior to the mechanical watch. Right? Today, it's there as a special interest thing, for enthusiasts and for people who like, their things to be a little more than just cold devices. So it's living its second life as a collector's item, as a enthusiast piece. The world has moved way ahead of mechanical. Today you see collectors doing it, and you see people doing it for nostalgic reasons. Like a large part of my business comes from the nostalgia aspect. People who say, my grandfather's clock, I want it to run again. I want my father's watch I want to wear my father's watch. Or they say that I got this one for graduation, and then I threw it in the drawer because I wanted that shiny new Titan. But today I want this to work again. So these are the few reasons why mechanical watches are still around. As for the new trends, Ravi, I still, it's been many years since Apple watches have been around, and Fitbits and those sort of things have been around. But I still think that it is a very young category. it's still a very undefined young category. To me, a smartwatch, I mean, this is how I look at it as a designer, okay, not as a watchmaker. It's still, it doesn't make sense, you know. It's like my phone is in my pocket and on my wrist, I see what my phone is doing. Till that smartwatch replaces the phone, I don't see any point of it. I may as well pull the phone out and do the stuff, right? And then you got to charge it. You got to, there's all sorts of things. With a mechanical watch, you don't have to charge it. You wind it or you just wear it. So I think it's still a very young category. Lots of things will happen. Lots of permutations and combinations will take place. Innovations will take place. And then it will go somewhere. But that's my point of view.
Okay. Any more questions? Yeah, Jeev Anand has a question. Please go ahead. Following
Hi,
that will
Aditya.
be more.
Aditya, hi. A question from me. So you can imagine how it would be.
I'm scared.
uh, Not about the scale part, but how convoluted it can be. So the question is this. I mean, it's very an
No,
amazing
I can't hear you.
session of a passion that you have.
No,
Uh,
my voice is muffled.
am I
Your
audible
voice.
now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm audible now.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so your passion for making watches, especially mechanical watches, it clearly shows in the talk that you did now, and even more in the video that you circulated just some time back in our group, in our IDC group. Um, I just want to know that, how is it that you could go after this specific targeted audience? I know you did explain that, you have an Instagram profile, and by means of that you're able to attract the right kind of target audience, etc. And but otherwise, apart from Instagram, because Instagram is just, if one stumbles on it, then maybe they will know that here is someone who has a similar interest, or who has a skill that can help me repair my mechanical watch or restore my mechanical watch. But there is definitely a larger audience out there who have these watches preserved. I can say this from from my own experience of the first watch that my dad gifted to me, which was an HMT watch, a mechanical watch at that time. And so it's very the targeting these kind of people who have these watches, and then to take interest in that is a completely different challenge altogether, because it probably is marketing. It is putting yourself out there and reaching out to them. How successful do you think you're there in that zone?
Okay, so several things over here. I mentioned Instagram. You know, initially it was word of mouth, friends telling friends, family telling this one, that one. Then there is Instagram. And the third thing is special interest groups, you know. Initially, there used to be these online forums, but now there are Facebook pages. So there are two or three special interest groups in India, one based in Delhi, one based somewhere. So I'm a member of those. So that's how people get to know that I do this and I get a lot of work from them. For the other part of your question, I have to take a different route. Okay. Now, my approach is not a traditional educated MBA approach, you know, where you say that I'm at this level, then I have to be this big, then I have to be this big, and this much market size, and that much market size, and that much market. No. My whole aim is to just be busy, okay, have enough work to be busy all the time. And now this might be a pipe dream, but the aim is not to increase the volume. If I fix 2 watches a day today, I should fix 10 watches a day next year. I just want to increase the value of what I do. If I'm charging you 5 rupees to fix a watch today, next year I should be in a position to charge you 6 rupees and whatever, and so on and so forth. Nobody who's hearing this should adopt it, okay? It's just something I feel and I follow. So then that question of, oh, there is much bigger market to capture, it never crosses my mind. I just feel that through all these filters, the work that comes to me is enough. And then there are people who believe in me and they'll give me the time and the freedom to do what I need to do. Did that answer your question, Jiva?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. Amazing chase of passion for something that is so niche and it cannot be compared with a lot of what others are doing. Full power to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to watch you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Muralidhar, you want to go next? After that will be Anand Gavde. Murali?
Thanks, Aditya, for what you presented. It was amazing because it was a sense of deja vu for me, because it's a journey which I've been going through in woodworking, where I didn't have a mentor. So the same YouTube is taught me most of it.
Right.
Just wanted to check out your how much did your the 10 years of working in different companies contribute to this learning?
No, that didn't contribute much because that's an entirely different game, you know. Like it's corporate design and it's design for mass manufacture and so many other things. But I say my IDC education helped me a lot. You know, I went through 5 years of design and architecture, but in IDC, it's like you were held upside down. Everything was dusted out of your pockets and your brains, and then you were taught to think again, you know. So, sorry?
Unlearning, you mean?
Yes, yes. So that has helped me a lot. Corporate design is very different, you know. You do it for mass manufacture, you do it for someone else. You do. I mean, it's like if you are designing a product and it should sell 5,000 a month, you're designing it for 5,000 people, right? So those parameters are all different. Here, now, okay, I don't like to use this word, but it's more of an artist's approach, okay? I'm making this watch because I want to express something. And then if you like it, you're more than welcome to order one from me. Right? Different worlds. Like that shop I designed. That has to please whatever footfall my cousin expects. If he expects 500 people to come in every day, it has to please 500 people. So that's a different game.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi Aditya. It was so nice and mesmerizing to go through your journey.
Thank you.
And I have been hearing about this since a long time from Anusha as well as Praveen.
Yeah.
I mean, incidentally, Anusha has also joined from Thane. I'm in
Okay.
Faridabad. So, one thing which I was interested in is in knowing is there a possibility of a unusual shape, or circular is the norm when you try and make? Have you done something maybe?
I don't make the cases.
Okay.
The case is a very technical part. It has to be dust proof, watertight. It has to be made to very tight tolerances. It should be at the minimum 316L surgical grade steel. So I just buy from trusted sellers, you know. If I had numbers, if I was making, let's say, 100 watches a year, 500 watches a year, then I would look at something like this. Because I know how difficult it is to get something made. Design it, tolerances, material, will वो 304 use करके 316 बोलेगा, फिर मेरा क्या होगा? So that's why I haven't looked at you know, customizing the case as such.
Great.
Yeah, as we wait for maybe Gokul Ishan as well. Please go ahead, Gokul.
Hi,
Gokul, go ahead.
Hi,
good to see you in person and hear it from the horse's mouth. Wonder, is this a one-man army working from home kind of a workshop, or do you also have some juniors who support you, you groom a team? How is it?
one-man army. See, I have many character flaws, and this is another one of them. I can't. It's very intricate work, you know. I can't trust anyone with it, and it's not like a established field, you know. कि एक draftsman गया तो दूसरा draftsman आया. If one design trainee goes, you have another trainee. This is just, these are lost skills. If you look at it, they are unnecessary skills. But so I just do everything myself.
Yeah, understood. All power to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one question I have, what is typically the time it takes for a order like the one that you RO showed? Typically, how long does it take to deliver a watch of that complexity?
Right. So if you look at making time, and now I'm talking about full time, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, the various models, they take from 4 to 8 weeks to make. Okay. But that's just the actual making time. What happens is when you place an order, I add you to my list. And then I deal with my list in the order. First come, first serve. It's the only fair way to do it. So it could take 3 months to deliver. It could take 6 months to deliver. But thankfully, all my customers, you know, the repair walas and the order walas, they are all very understanding. And they always, and I send periodic updates, you know, this week I worked on this aspect and these are the stages. It was a lump of brass which I turned, then I middled and whatever. So they enjoy that as well. So time is not a factor.
Okay. Animesh, go ahead. Sunil Kumar, could you mute, please? I mean, we are getting some kind of a noise. Sunil,
Not from me, but anyway, I'm
Kumar.
leaving. Yeah.
Yeah. So Aditya, what is competition like in this space?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. You know, in the clock part, I explained what the traditional way of repairing was, right? You punch a metal, you push a pivot back, and for a year it will work, and then it will wear out sooner. In the watch trade, the traditional way has been to open it, clean only the sensitive parts, put fresh oil on top of the dirt, and then it will work after a fashion. So, and those people charge a pittance, right? Where I charge 5 times what they charge. So I don't know if I can call them my competition. It could be more like a filter. You know, like this watch hobby, it's like an addiction for many people. So they buy like someone said they buy a lot of HMTs. They buy a lot of HMTs, and those they treat like disposable. So उसपे खर्चा नहीं करेंगे. But if they buy an expensive Swiss watch, then they say that okay, this one only Aditya will service. So that's the sort of thing.
So you are able to communicate value to these customers.
Sorry?
So I'm saying, how do you communicate this value to these customers? Is it through online means? Is it word of mouth?
A combination of both, you know. My whole point of making that Instagram account was just this, you know, that people see how much effort goes into doing a job properly. That you have to dismantle the watch to the last nut and bolt. You need clinical cleanliness, surgical cleanliness. You need to assemble it properly. You need to do the right lubricants. So that's like a soft this thing. Word of
Sure,
mouth
sure.
also. And then I get invited to talk to a lot of watch enthusiast groups. So there's always a few taunts at the end of the presentation, you know. I show a car engine, okay? And I say, what are the pivot sizes in this? Let's say 10 mm, 15 mm, whatever. Is it running now? No, no, it's parked and stopped. And how much do you spend per year in servicing it? So they say, oh, it's 10,000, this, that. You know the pivot size in your watch, 0.1 mm, 0.15 mm. It's running 24/7. And once in 5 years, you don't want to get it serviced. So, you know, fun and game.
Yeah,
So
no, I'm sure. Quite interesting.
it's a mixture of both. Like I said, they do it for the ones where they see value. ये महंगा घड़ी है, ये प्रेशियस घड़ी है, ये मेरे दादाजी का है, HMT भी होगा, तो ये तो आदित्य ही करेगा. And the regular who is somewhere else.
And okay, last question. If let's say IDC Alumni Talks was to commission a watch, how much would it cost us?
It will see right now the range I'll really have to see, you know, Corona has wreaked havoc with my supply chain. Some cases are available, some are not, but those that I can make as they are now, they range from 1 to 2.5 lakhs. And then it depends on how you want it. You want to customize it. But it all depends on which model you want. And it's all based on how much of my time goes into making.
Sure. Yeah, so 1.25 is something you're saying is the minimum. So we have 25 people here. We'll circulate a form to get 5,000 from each and we'll commission one to you.
I'll be very happy to make it.
Thanks,
No,
Aditya.
No, there's a big problem.
Haji.
Who will design it? 25 designers.
I thought it was part of the package.
No, I can design it, but I mean, you know what I'm saying, right?
Okay, thank you. We'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, just a joke.
Yeah, I mean, we're just 2 minutes away. Maybe just one last question. Anybody? If not, I have a last question. What is okay? There is Atul Rajwade who has a question. Please go ahead, Atul.
Now I'm even more scared. You are on mute, Atul.
Hi. If it's done, if see, generally what is after our jury is over, we go for a drink.
Yes. So okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I will ask you questions there. Bye.
Better, you know, that's better. Better than you asking me questions here.
Yeah, you can record session
No.
and then go to
Our
here.
sessions are not recordable. Censor board will never pass them.
Great. I mean, my last question was, what's next? And do you continue with the current approach of repair and then on order, or you're actually moving to the next level? What is next coming from Aditya? I mean, AD Watches now.
Okay. No, to be honest, the repair and restoration is a very fulfilling job. Simply because you don't know what's going to come across your bench next. You know, there's such a wide variety. Wristwatch, pocket watch, clock. So it's just very thrilling to do that. As for the making goes, I've had the idea for my next design for nearly 3 years now, but just no time to actually work on it. You know, I've even made a prototype, a functional prototype, which works, which proves my ideas, but I have to turn it into a design. And then that design part is my investment, right? I'm investing all of those weeks and months and making the first proto with no expectation that anyone will like it or buy it. So that just I go by heart. I've had that idea. I have the germ of the design, just no time to make it. And I'm quite happy to continue like this,
Great. I think with this, we come to a close of this session. I mean, what can be a better thing than a watchmaker saying that he doesn't have time? Aditya, great session, great exposition of your journey. And I know that the story is much deeper and larger than what you exposed. At least we got some idea of what it means for somebody to follow a passion. And also you took a lot of effort to put together some very, very intricate details of what goes into making your own passion work. And in that sense, some idea of what it means to synchronize the two arms. So on behalf of all of us, a big thank you to you for your time and the effort that you have put in. And I also thank each and every attendee of this session, because ultimately the talks are made by the attendees. And also thank my volunteers. There are talks coming up as usual, and the recording of this session will be made available tomorrow, and we'll keep posting on the subsequent talks. And with all of that, great thank you to Aditya again, and
thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, it was fun having you, Aditya, and great. A good night to all of you, and a great week ahead, the rest of the week. Thank you. I'm just switching the recording off, and then recording is